The quiet suburban streets seemed peaceful, the kind of neighborhood where everyone waves hello and lawns are perfectly trimmed. But behind one of those pristine doors, a shocking confrontation was about to unfold. It all started with an HOA complaint that quickly spiraled out of control, leading to a tense 911 call. At the center of it was Karen, a neighbor with a reputation for overstepping boundaries, who claimed there was an emergency at her black neighbor's home. What she didn't know, however, would turn the entire situation upside down. The woman inside her home wasn't just any resident, she was a police officer, trained and prepared for anything. She faced the unnerving reality of someone trying to manipulate the law to gain access to her home. As Karen's story to 911 grew more dramatic, the tension escalated, and neighbors began to notice the unusual activity. The air felt heavy with anticipation. Would this situation spiral into something dangerous? Or would the truth come to light before it got out of hand? This story is about more than just a confrontation between neighbors. It's about assumptions, courage, and the surprising ways people respond when faced with deception. In just a few moments, you'll see how quickly a lie can unravel and how a calm, smart response can change everything. But right now, the door is still closed. The 911 operator is on the line, and no one knows how Karen's false claims will be exposed. What happens next will shock you. It's all about to unfold. For weeks before that tense afternoon, there had been subtle signs that things were off in the neighborhood. Karen had a history of confrontations over the smallest issues: garbage cans left out too long, kids playing too close to her yard, or cars parked slightly over the line. But no one expected her to go so far as to call 911 with false claims. The black woman, Officer Thompson, had lived in the neighborhood quietly for years, earning respect from neighbors for her kindness and professionalism. She kept to herself, but never ignored anyone in need, which made Karen's targeting feel all the more personal. On the day of the call, neighbors noticed Karen pacing outside, phone pressed to her ear, her voice unusually sharp. Some wondered what could be so urgent, while others felt a creeping unease that something didn't add up. Inside, Officer Thompson sensed the tension immediately. She had trained for situations like this: scams, false alarms, threats. But it's different when it happens at your doorstep, in your own home. Every ring of her doorbell, every passing shadow outside her window made her alert rise. As the minutes ticked by, more neighbors began peeking from behind curtains. Whispers of, "Is that Karen again?" filling the air. The 911 operator was listening, typing furiously, while Officer Thompson weighed her options. She needed to respond without escalating the situation, but Karen's insistence on pushing the narrative created a pressure cooker of anxiety. The line between safety and chaos felt razor thin, and no one could predict what would happen when the door finally opened. Karen's calls to 911 grew more frantic, each word dripping with urgency that didn't match the reality inside Officer Thompson's home. From the outside, it looked like a neighborhood drama, but for those witnessing it, the tension was real. Some neighbors began taking sides quietly, some believing Karen's version, others silently rooting for the calm officer behind the door. Rumors started circulating. Did she see something? Or why would Karen call 911 like that? The small community felt caught in a silent storm. Inside, Officer Thompson remained calm but vigilant. She moved through her home methodically, checking cameras, doors, and windows, knowing that deception often came with unpredictable risks. Her training as a police officer made her alert to every detail: the way Karen's voice cracked, the way she hesitated when describing the supposed emergency. She realized this was more than a neighborly disagreement. It was a test of patience, control, and perception. Meanwhile, Karen's subplot unfolded in glimpses. Her own anxiety began to show, her overconfidence faltering as she realized she might have misjudged the situation. Friends or bystanders who had witnessed her earlier confrontations whispered about her bold but reckless nature. Each observer added a layer of pressure, amplifying the conflict. Back inside, Officer Thompson considered her next move carefully. She could engage, she could ignore, or she could let the authorities arrive, but every choice carried risk. The suspense grew as neighbors watched. The 911 operator waited, and Karen's story teetered between fabrication and confrontation. No one knew what would happen when the truth collided with the lion. The tension hanging over the street was almost unbearable. The air outside Officer Thompson's home was thick with anticipation. Karen had stopped pacing for a moment, clutching her phone tightly, whispering to the 911 operator in a mix of panic and insistence. From the windows, neighbors could see the tension radiating from her posture, her face flushed, eyes darting between the door and the street. Whispers and murmurs spread, some questioning what was really happening, others simply frozen, waiting to see the confrontation unfold. Inside, Officer Thompson's heart rate remained steady, but every sound outside made her senses sharpen. The faint hum of a car engine, the rustle of leaves, even the distant bark of a dog, all felt magnified in the quiet of her home. She checked her security cameras again, watching Karen's gestures and listening closely to her exaggerated claims. It was clear Karen expected a reaction, a crack in composure she could exploit, but Thompson had trained for moments like this. She knew the danger of underestimating someone desperate enough to lie to 911. The tension was compounded by the neighbors' quiet involvement. Some had stepped onto their porches, phones in hand, ready to call for help if needed. The street had become an unintended stage, a mix of curiosity and concern. Karen, sensing the scrutiny, grew more erratic, her voice rising, her story more dramatic, as if louder and more frantic words could force the situation in her favor. With every passing second, the moment of confrontation loomed closer. Officer Thompson could feel at the exact instant when truth and deception would collide, when Karen's lies would meet reality. The air was electric, every heartbeat echoing the suspense. No one yet knew how the door would open, what words would be exchanged, or how the neighborhood's peaceful illusion would shatter. The stage was set, and the climax was just within reach. Just as the tension reached a breaking point, a new twist shifted everything. From across the street, another neighbor stepped forward, their voice cutting through the nervous murmur of onlookers. They claimed to have seen someone else suspicious near Officer Thompson's property earlier that day. Someone Karen hadn't mentioned. The revelation instantly complicated the situation. Now, it wasn't just a simple case of a neighbor lying to 911. The possibility of an actual threat loomed, making Karen's dramatic claims feel both reckless and strangely prescient. Inside, Officer Thompson's mind raced. Her instincts told her to stay alert, but the unexpected detail forced her to reconsider her assumptions. She scanned her security footage, checked the back doors, and listened for the faintest sounds, all while keeping calm under pressure. Every neighbor watching could feel the stakes rising. What had started as a clash between two neighbors had suddenly grown into a potential security issue, and the tension on the street escalated. Karen, oblivious to the new twist, continued her frantic attempts to control the narrative. She leaned closer to her phone, insisting her version was the only truth, unaware that every neighbor, every camera, and every passerby was silently judging her credibility. The crowd's whispers grew louder, some questioning whether she had pushed things too far this time. With the new development, the situation teetered on a knife's edge. Officer Thompson's calm determination was tested like never before, and Karen's audacity seemed to grow with each passing second. The moment when the door would open and the truth would be exposed felt closer than ever. But with this unexpected twist, the outcome was more unpredictable than anyone could imagine. The tension on the street reached a fever pitch. As Karen took one final step toward Officer Thompson's door, phone pressed to her ear, ready to escalate her story even further. But before she could knock, the door swung open, and all the nervous neighbors froze. Standing there calm and composed was Officer Thompson in her uniform, badge gleaming in the sunlight. The sight alone was enough to silence the murmurs. Karen's eyes widened in disbelief, her frantic narrative suddenly crumbling in the face of the undeniable truth. Officer Thompson spoke firmly, her voice cutting through the chaos. "I'm Officer Thompson. This is my home. There is no emergency here." The words hit like a shockwave. Karen's attempt to manipulate the law and intrude on someone else's home had been met with calm authority, and the crowd of neighbors began to murmur among themselves, realizing the full scope of what had almost happened. Just when it seemed the story had reached its conclusion, a final twist sent hearts racing. One of the neighbors who had initially supported Karen sheepishly admitted that they had misinterpreted the suspicious figure. Earlier, it was a delivery driver who had left a package. The realization that Karen's lies had nearly caused real panic added another layer of shock, leaving the community stunned. Karen, caught in the middle of embarrassment, fear, and disbelief, had no words. Meanwhile, Officer Thompson calmly ensured the neighborhood understood.